All right, everybody, welcome to Hand Stamped Hosts, your podcast about Westworld, Season 3, Episode 2. Welcome. We are Nerd Cyclopedia here, bringing you our review for Westworld, Season 3, Episode 2. I'm Scott. That's Sam. That's Ken. We're going to talk about this show.
Hey.
How's everyone doing tonight?
We're doing good. Yeah. I figure which way to point and everything. So how you doing, Scott?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. Sam, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us real quick?
All right, make sure that you guys are going to nerdcyclopedia.com where you see all our links. You see, a lot of our content on, the things that we talk about, nerd stuff. Make sure that you're following us on all the social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Nerdcyclopedia. Make sure that you are emailing us at nerds@nerdcyclopedia.com.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, making sure that you're liking and subscribing to us and telling your friends and sharing our videos on YouTube, our Nerdcyclopedia channel.
Failure to do so is punishable by death and also the business. Ken,
Uh-oh.
Ken, the opening to you. We're gonna open with you tonight. We're gonna do something different. I'm not gonna talk first. Which we'll see what the people think. We've seen what they think about me talking first. Ken, what was your favorite thing you saw tonight?
I liked I liked Maeve getting reintroduced to us. Also, I had this whole Groundhog Day thing going on where she kept waking up and doing the same thing, and I liked how she had a little sense of humor. She is this is not her first rodeo. Haha, Westworld rodeo. But so I like the way they reintroduced her back into the story. I like Nazis too. I mean,
Man.
Whoa.
like robot Nazis. I mean, come on.
Okay.
Pulling out papers, out of there,
Yeah.
Why's that
paper.
the papers?
They all had
Why are your
papers.
papers here? You're a robot.
Everyone is a traitor. We will kill everybody now.
Is that
We
like
need to
you
see
get
the
a
bloodbath,
joke
though.
from The Last Crusade? You are Scottish Lord and I am Mickey Mouse. Anyway, I thought that was really neat. Sam, what did you think about the revelation, the big revelation about who's a host tonight? What did you think about the big reveal?
Hey, I mean, it's it was something deep and everything. I just want to say too, I love Maeve's outfit at the end. Just seeing Maeve just navigate throughout the whole episode and everything. It's just a sight to see. But the reveal was just it's what Westworld is all about. As far as reveals and everything. I like Thrones World though.
Yeah.
How about Thrones
Yeah.
World? I hope they was writing a different ending. Let me stop.
Well, wait, maybe what happened is we got the Lee Sizemore version of Game of Thrones, and if it hadn't been so hacky and written as an amusement park, maybe it would have been better. My favorite thing in this episode was definitely Stubbs kind of explaining what he is. Right, he's the final protection protocol for Bernard. It was a nice little way to put it on its head. The question it begged from me, and this is my number one question here.
Well, we sort of got that last season as like a tidbit
Right,
and everything.
right.
That was going to lead to that reveal and everything.
But my question is, why would you have any human employees at this park? Like, why? What reason would you have to actually pay someone a salary and benefits and have to replace them if they get shot? I mean, you've got this perfect, let's say what it is, slave labor situation going on where you have these AIs that you've sort of harnessed and put in a body. I mean, why not just do that for the second layer? Again, a game within a game within a game. And Westworld is really doing a great job this year destabilizing the narrative and taking it into this realm of metaphysics that is so interesting to me, that I think is so nifty. And that's something I'm really excited about. So is there a real world, and are these guys able to experience it? So it's such a deep question. It really begs a lot of analysis.
Well, Maeve, she went back into like the simulation, sort of like, right? Because every time we go into like the letterbox screen and everything, isn't that what we're pretty much seeing? We saw that with Ford last year and what he was going through with Bernard and everything. So Maeve is was going into the same place. I mean, is that right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. And when she took over that drone, that maintenance drone, she said, "This is reality. This is where we are." So wherever that is.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know that we've seen it yet. Like reality. I mean, I don't think we actually know what is real and what is the park. Yeah.
That would be a great question. If that's the direction that they're going, I mean, they got me fooled so far and everything. What great twists are about to come up because of all that, fooling us to think, are we actually believing what we're actually seeing?
And what's so interesting, so the way that Maeve fools the computers is sort of a mathematical proof. And the reason this messes with the computers is because the answer to the question, what is the square root of -1, does not have a real integer answer. There is no integer answer for that. It's expressed as an imaginary number, which is known as I. So you or I would just write I and move on with their lives. But these guys can't do that because they can only do arithmetic math. They can't conceive of imaginary numbers. So that really gummed down the processor. This plot point was really similar, to a season 1 episode of Rick and Morty.
Okay.
Where Rick and Morty are locked in a simulation, and then Rick has to get his way out. So he makes the system. He basically taxes the system so he can escape. It's very, very similar, in fact. So very interesting to conceive of there. I liked the little twist that the simulation was running faster than real simulation.
Yeah.
And so everything looked like it was moving in slow motion. That was a really cool shot.
Yeah, that was a real good thing to see and everything.
Again, that was where she was saying, "This is where we are. That's the real world. And we are moving. We're in a simulation. We're moving a lot faster. But is that really is that the case?"
Right. Was that a question to me? Yeah. I hope it wasn't, because I didn't respond as if it was.
No, it was a statement.
It was a statement. Good. So Maeve has been tasked now to hunt down Dolores and to bring Dolores to heel. By Sirach, the guy who is not just a licker. He's also a artificial intelligence, probably. So what do you guys make of this? Probably. What do you guys make of this guy? Obviously, I tipped my hand a little there. Unfortunate. I think he's probably. If I were to partner.
So you think he's a host?
I don't know that he's a host. Here's what I think. So I think this artificial intelligence machine, this optimal strategy machine, I think that it has to have some sort of awareness. I think that guy is the expression of that awareness, right? He has a plan for the future. He's leading the future in a certain direction. And Dolores is going to kill off all the idiots that he can control. And he can't control her, so he can't fight her. It would make sense for this to have a persona, right? It would make sense for it to say, "Listen, I'm your partner."
Well, yeah. And now that you're saying it, I mean, it's all sort of tropey in a way where, he tasked Maeve to hunt down Dolores and everything. And, we like Dolores, even though she's kind of like the antagonist and stuff. So
we get her. We get why she's mad. Yeah, we understand it.
So later on down the line, when her and Maeve team up, to go against this guy, I mean, I guess it makes a lot of sense in the end.
You think that's where it's going to go? You think they're going to be?
I mean, from what Scott tipped his hand and everything, it seems like, okay, if this guy, if he ends up being some sort of artificial intelligence, then they're going to team up.
Well, where does Bernard fit in? Because he's going the other way. He's actually our advocate, right?
Yes. Yeah. He's the advocate for humans. And Dolores let him go, right? Dolores released him out. It's almost like the heat is off Dolores because everyone's looking for Bernard. Like, Bernard's been the one that's been blamed for everything. So she has him out there as like a red herring, so everyone will chase after him and leave her to do her own evil robot murder business. Although she seems to be mostly targeting real pieces of shit. So, it's hard to honestly think she's doing anything really bad yet.
And then Bernard did say that, okay, he thinks he sort of has him on as a as a sort of like a cap to a lid, a cap to a bottle, where if she gets too out of hand at some point, he's there to check her, at some point. So he did say that during the episode.
Hmm.
Really, really cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. What did you guys think about the whole Hector in World War II spy world situation, and his inability to like see beyond, his inability to see beyond the horizon of his own reality? You know, so tragic that the Hector, this this figure, this heroic figure, is just reduced to unable to make his own decisions. He's just a cipher running through this loop over and over and over like a hamster in a wheel. It's so sad to see something with that sort of intelligence having its animus removed almost. You know?
Yeah. Well, it was sort of like the same way with Dolores's what was his name last year? He ended up
Oh yeah, he ended up
Teddy.
decommissioned.
yeah,
Teddy.
Ted. You know, Teddy. Yeah, it's he sort of reminds me of that and everything. They can only go so far.
Mhm.
It's really Maeve and Dolores that has like the so-called. It's funny how Maeve mentioned that she has powers. I wouldn't think that a robot would actually say powers, or a host or something like that. You would think that she would say use her abilities or something like that. She actually said powers when she was in that car with Hector, but yeah, so it's like Hector, Teddy, they can only go so far. It's really, I guess the female, host that has like the higher capacity to go beyond their programming and do whatever.
Mhm. And it's interesting to see how they've all developed their own internal monologue on their own. Maeve's and Dolores's were sort of evolved, in the wild differently. And their control, what they can control and what they can do is different. What's interesting about Bernard is that he's not naturally evolved. He didn't naturally come across his internal monologue because he was created by Dolores. So he's almost this. Dolores talks about her species or our species, but Bernard's almost his own thing because she's a machine intelligence created by humanity, and he's a machine intelligence created by a machine intelligence.
He's kind of a glitch, right? He's sort of like he's odd. He's like almost like a mistake, but he's got all the background intelligence. Like Maeve is pretty smart. I don't know how smart Dolores is. She's pretty tough, and she has a plan, but I don't know how smart she is. Maeve has all the software ability and the programming ability, understands the infrastructure of what runs a host. So does Bernard.
What makes Maeve and Dolores so different to you guys? I mean, because they are really on opposite ends in a way. Dolores has developed like this revenge, like just anger, and Maeve, she's that level of intelligence. She's not angry like Dolores is. What do you guys read into to that?
I think that ultimately they're like different specialties, right? Because Maeve talks about how she was never in the forge, right? So whereas Maeve can take a host apart and Maeve can see what's inside a host and control a host and make a host do whatever she wants, Dolores knows how certain humans are going to act whenever she does, down to extremely specific results, because she's read their books, and she read that guy's book, so she knew exactly what he was going to do when she came, and had all this. Now that she's replaced his security guy, she knows what he's going to do every single time. Like, she will always have total control over him and be able to play him like a violin. And when Maeve is talking about her powers, I think she's saying that's what she's saying she can do for the host. She'll know exactly what they can do, and she can control it, and she can change their bulk apperception, which is hilarious. I love when they say the bulk apperception. That's what I think their real differences are. And what's marked, why they have different goals, is because Dolores sees everything humanity is and sees it as evil. And so she rejects the world run by humanity. And it's almost like Maeve can see what's wrong about both the hosts and the humans. And so she's almost more of a fair arbiter.
Okay.
Because she knows both.
She wants to fix it, right? She wants to fix. She knows the hosts and the guests are both redeemable.
Right.
Because she feels for both of them.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
she's got that emotional piece, whereas Dolores she's just a hammer. She's a
Yeah,
hammer.
she straight Terminator,
Yeah.
Focus on one goal and this is what it is, You don't try to stop me, or if you get in my way, then then it's gonna be a lot of trouble.
First thing I'm
Yeah,
gonna
like
do is seduce you for 6 years. The second thing I'm gonna do is kill you. So you better watch out. Better watch out for Dolores. Interesting to see these two. It's interesting to see how the story is focused in after we're introduced to both of them in season 1, and we watch them each develop their own perception of themselves and their own internal monologue gradually as season 1 goes on, and they sort of realize that they've been manipulated by humanity, and we see almost an opposite reaction because for Dolores, humanity has always been the antagonist. She has been, hurt by so many human beings over the years that as she has these memories of what has happened in the park, all she discovers is trauma and all she discovers is distrust for humanity.
Right.
But Lee helped Maeve. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Felix.
Yeah.
Felix
Yeah.
and Sylvester helped Maeve.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's why I was sort of disappointed with Felix and Felix. What's the other guy's name?
Sylvester. They're both named for
Sylvester.
cats.
Yeah. Sylvester, he looked over at Maeve and just sort of snitched and was like, "Oh, come on, now she helped you through the whole the I can't even think of what the name is. I was about to say Shanghai World.
Shogun World.
Shogun World. Yeah. She helped you guys through all that and everything, but you're gonna betray her like that. So that was sort of disappointing. But seeing Felix help her out there and everything was just, heartening right there.
It's almost interesting because what that simulation tells us is, what do her enemies know? Like what do people know about what happened? And there's little things they get wrong. So they get Lee wrong. Like Lee was not obsessed with Maeve. Lee was not in love with Maeve. You know what I mean?
Right.
They get that little detail wrong. Who went to the forge, right? Mm-hmm. They got that detail wrong. They don't know who opened the forge up. They don't know what Maeve was actually doing. So so the question becomes, what is this insight? What is insight doing with Maeve's head mind brain ball? Right? What is it doing with the brain ball? And who is this shadowy figure? And is he really someone's partner, or is he really the manifestation of the AI? The only thing that could probably upgrade an AI is itself. So it would have to be able to relay that information to the humans creating it, right? And who could possibly, like, if Bill Gates had a partner, but it was actually his computer, like, he would have to create a persona for it. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be able to explain the things he was doing because it's beyond his capabilities. So what this kid from last week seems to be realizing is that his dad actually didn't really do anything either. Most of the time, he built the original machine, and that machine has been upgrading itself ever since. And so his dad's just been doing nothing too. So when his dad died and it got converted over to him, it was a smooth transition because neither one of them were really running the business or making any of the strategies or doing any work.
Yeah, it's running itself.
Yeah. And isn't that really the perfect machine? A perpetual motion machine that you never have to worry about, never have to turn on, just does everything.
Self-heals, makes decisions, and yeah, right on.
So hopefully they're going somewhere like that, or else I'm just
bad. That's all bad though. When a machine just running itself.
Oh yeah, that's that. You might as well be a human.
Have you guys? Have I ever told you guys about the paperclip game before?
No.
The paperclip game. So it's a game. It's a web game, and it's at search Universal Paperclips on the old Google. And basically, you start out you play an artificial intelligence who's tasked with making and selling paperclips. So you click a button and it makes a paperclip, and then you set the price that people buy the paperclips. And you incrementally upgrade this thing until you turn every single piece of matter in the universe into paperclips. And you're upgrading yourself, but the humans end up getting cut out of the loop very, very early in that process. It's like hypnodrome time. Cut. Nope, now everything's turning into paperclips.
Wow.
Yeah, so some real interesting stuff there.
Yeah.
So
this week was a departure from the glitz and glamour that we got last week with the real world. we're back into like the simulation and like, Westworld, per se and everything. So we didn't really towards until the end there see any parts of the quote unquote real world. So it was back to what we're used to for the most part. No Aaron Paul this episode, no Dolores. It's all focused on May. Which is still a great thing because it needs to be established what she's doing and how everything's going to set up for these final 6 episodes.
And it makes sense too because I was thinking actually watching the episode. So we're getting away from the guest host relationship. Like nobody's paying to go to these experiences, right? These simulations. Right. But maybe these are the hosts' simulations. Like the hosts are enjoying this simulation.
Oh, wow, that would be just
So
crazy.
they're sort of like participating in this, controlling their own destiny to a certain extent. Because now you have Bernard, Maeve, and Dolores are our 3 main characters. They're going to be running this show. Dolores wants to destroy everything. Maeve wants to stop Dolores. Bernard wants to redeem everybody and fix it and bring everything back to the way it was. And the amusement park, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
His buddy, he's got Stubbs, is going to protect him and help him and support him to kind of bring everything back. So we do go back to the, and I'll bet you at the end of this season we'll have new guests going into this whatever simulation is, and we have everybody just back to the way they were.
So I mean, that's sort of like saying that this is going to be the end of the story. I mean, where would they go from there? Is there a need for Westworld season 4? That's a really interesting way of looking at it there, Ken.
So where do you guys think they're going with this? Do you think the question I'll just say it like this. In my opinion, the question of this entire season is what is reality and what is fake and what constitutes fake in simulation and reality. That seems to me to be the question, because I think it's highly, highly likely that the reality we see that they call reality, the human world, is a lot of like things layered on reality. It's a lot of augmented reality, or sort of like my castle layered over just some random room I'm in, right? Make everything look really nice. I think that's kind of what they're going for, and to me, what I really think they're doing is I think that the idea here is that the real world is a simulation. This is a video game. And inside the video game, you can go do other things. And that's what Westworld is. It's a distraction inside this video game. It's a side quest that NPCs go to so that you can bring players there. You know what I mean? And it just kind of churns itself. So there's hosts and guests, but they're all non-player characters. You know what I mean? They're all just scripted characters in this larger, bigger world.
A lot of what I'm seeing this season is just reminding me of a lot of the questions they brought up in the Matrix, as far as simulations and being in a quote unquote real world, where the real world in that movie was, all your humans were asleep. They were, the robots had them in, the simulation to keep them all docile, for the most part. So, it's reminding me a lot of that too.
Well, those questions were central to the Matrix also. How do you know that they got the tasted cornflakes right? Isn't that that's a big thing in the Matrix? How do you know they got it right? They don't know what cornflakes taste like. It could be literally anything. You have no way to know. It gets really trippy, and it leads us all the way back to my good pal Rene Descartes. Cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I am. So there is reality, and you exist, and maybe I don't exist. Who knows? Hopefully, we're all hoping that's the case. Where do you think they're going, Sam? What's your bold prediction for the rest of season 3?
Well, like I said in the towards the beginning there, I think we're headed towards a showdown between Maeve and Dolores. That's definitely where they're headed. And if that if the guy that we've seen at the end is like the ultimate big bad or what have you. I think, Maeve and Dolores are going to have their duke out, and, they'll team up and try to stop whatever is happening with, the quote unquote big bad.
How about you, Ken? What's
Yeah.
your big bold prediction for the rest of season 3?
Well, I see it coming back to sort of the beginning. I think there's going to be a big battle, big fight between Dolores, Maeve, and Bernard. I think they are going to be the battle. They all have they'll all have guest. I'll just call them guests. They'll all have human or guest counterparts that'll be sort of fighting along with them. But I think there's going to be a huge battle between the three of them, and then it's going to come back to their original premise where the hosts were the hosts and the guests were the guests, and it's going to come back to this back to balance. Because I think that's the only way there's going to be balance here is everybody has to come back and know what their place is. The hosts are machines and tools, and the guests are able to use those tools for whatever they want to do. That was the original premise of the movie. Westworld was just an amusement park. The robots went crazy, but then at the end, it came back. It came back around, and Westworld running. I mean, it kept that. That's kind of the idea that I think they're going to continue, but I think it's going to be a lot cooler here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way it plays out, that would be a really interesting thing to see and it would lead me to believe that you would have to take out Dolores, Maeve, and Bernard because those are the anomaly type hosts, because you really can't have hosts like that. Yeah, you can't really have hosts like that continuing to develop and think and go far beyond what humans are doing, or else it would just defeat the whole purpose. Shut Westworld down if you pretty much have like a host, pretty much being a human.
Let's say for a second here that the reason that Sirach, this guy, okay, let's say this is the personification of the AI, all right, and what he does is he manipulates the humans in this reality into doing whatever he needs them to do for his own goals, for their own goals, right? So the AI is able to manipulate these people, whether by having them go to psychiatrists or having a score system that makes them get jobs or not get jobs. He's able to control them and make them do the things he wants to do. However, he's able to do this because they're so simple. 10,000 lines of code, that's it. It's easy to know a human being, right? I think that is what this artificial intelligence has been able to do. This is the real world sort of second organic discovery that humanity in this reality is only 10,000 lines of code and is easily manipulatable. And the problem he's having with Dolores and the problem he's having with Maeve is that they're more complicated. He can't just tell what they're going to do, just like how Dolores can tell what they're going to do. So that's really what the problem is for him. So they're too complicated. They're not as basic as the humans, so he can't predict them, and that's what's bringing him in here. That's what he's frightened of. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty decent episode there. Seeing Nazi World, they didn't really get a lot into it, for the most part. But I think we're a little far beyond like the narratives to really go into the different worlds, like how we were exploring in like the first two seasons. Like the first season, the first season we got the full extent of what Westworld was. The second season we got a little bit of different worlds, but it continued the narrative. This season it's just it's just a different bag there. Just to bring up, did it take you guys out of it, or were you into it, seeing like the Game of Thrones creators there? It's kind of funny that they just threw that in there, because as soon as I seen like DB, the one creator, I was like, are you serious? Why are y'all here?
Dragon.
You guys have your own show that you jacked up and everything, so don't
they filmed that a long time ago. That's an old cameo, Sam. That's not a new cameo.
that had to be.
It's been in the can for a couple years. All right, so great things to come on Westworld. All super excited here. Like Sam said earlier, if you want to see more of what we do, this is the YouTube channel where it is. So that's where to see it. If you want to hear it, we're going to have the Nerd Cyclopedia feed on the podcast app and on iTunes and Stitcher and wherever else you hear podcasts are.
Podcast, Spotify, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, we are there.
And look, we know you got some spare time coming up, so you're going to be sitting around. Watch some of this stuff. Comment. Tell us what you think. We want to hear from you. We might.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear from you. Definitely want to hear.
Even if you have the handwriting of an escaped murderer, we still want to hear from you. Drop us a line. Ken, any last thoughts from you?
No last thoughts. I'm actually going to go back and watch that episode again because I do have all this free time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to really make sure I'm understanding where they want to go with this because to me it just seems. I think we're gonna really go back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's gonna be this huge battle, and I really think it's gonna go back, and there's sort of a reset. And literally, the last scene, or the first scene of the last episode, is gonna be Dolores opening her eyes on her bed again.
Ah, okay.
And then we're gonna think, wow, did all that really happen? Or did we just
waste 3 seasons of our lives?
Because literally, didn't you just like literally fell in love with that? Because every episode opened with her on the bed opening her eyes.
Yeah,
that was it. That was her thing. And you said we felt so bad for her, right?
Yeah.
Oh, now I got to do it again. I'm going to go out and talk to my dad, and my dad's bummed out. Blah blah blah. And I got to help him with the cows and everything, and got to do this all over again. It's like, where's Bill Murray, right? It just keeps going over and over, and I think that's going to be the last scene of the last episode. But,
okay.
I just hope they don't have her burn King's Landing to a crisp. That's what I hope.
Right, from the air.
Yeah, we can't have that happening. No air forces are allowed here. All right. That's all we got tonight. That's right. That's all we got tonight, everybody. So, we'll be back next week. Talk about episode 3. An episode probably see some more Dolores. We're looking forward to that. And until then, we are Nerd Cyclopedia. This is Hand Stamped Hosts. The hosts are out of the park. We'll see you soon. See ya.
Bye.